What is a kit lens? What you need to know without the irrelevant detail. Hi and welcome to episode 60 of the Photography Explained podcast. I'm your host Rick, and in each episode I will explain one photographic thing in plain English in less than 10 minutes without the irrelevant details. What I tell you is based on my lifetime of photographic experience, not Google. Well, there might be the odd thing that I had to look up, but mainly this is stuff that I know. And you'd hope so, wouldn't you? Okay, one of those terms that it's been around for quite a while. I've never known what it really means, so I decided let's find out and let's share that knowledge with you. Okay, what is a kit lens? A kit lens is a camera lens normally sold with a camera body as part of a starter kit. The most commonly sold kit lens is the 18 to 55mm lens, although other focal length kit lenses are sold. Kit lenses are at the lower end of the price and quality ranges and are aimed at new photographers looking to upgrade from phones and fixed lens cameras. There is no formal definition of what a kit lens is, and that's the killer in all of this. There is no formal definition of what a kit lens is. Is there only one type of kit lens? It's one of those, isn't it? The most commonly sold kit lens is the 18 to 55mm lens, often sold with camera bodies, but also available to buy separately, I do believe. Now, if you look at this on the internet, you will find that there are answers to the Google question, what is a kit lens, which say a kit lens is an 18 to 55mm lens. Really, is it? In theory, you could say that any lens sold with a camera is a kit lens, and that really does blow the argument out of the water, doesn't it? What kind of cameras come with kit lenses? To use my universal photographic question answer, that didn't make sense, did it? It depends. In theory, any lens sold with a camera kit is a kit lens, but it really means an 18 to 55mm lens, to be perfectly honest. An 18 to 55mm lenses tend to be sold with crop sensor cameras. Now, I'm saying tend to be sold. I am pretty sure they aren't sold with full frame cameras. It wouldn't make any sense. Check out previous episodes about cropped sensor and full frame cameras if you want to know more about that. Or drop me a line and I can tell you. So it's not unreasonable to think of a kit lens as a starter lens. Not unreasonable. So let's talk about the 18 to 55mm lens. Why is it so popular? 18 to 55mm is a focal length range for a beginner. It's a great beginner's focal length range. What does 18 to 55mm on a cropped sensor camera actually mean? Don't forget, with a cropped sensor camera, the focal length isn't what you see really. On a full frame camera, 50mm is called the standard focal length, or I call it the standard focal length because a 50mm lens is a standard lens. And when you look through a full frame camera viewfinder, roughly speaking, 50mm gives you the same perspective that our eyes see. That's why it's called standard. So on a cropped sensor camera, the focal length giving you that same standard view is 33mm. So if we take our 18 to 55mm lens, 18mm is wide angle. In the middle, 33mm, standard view. 55mm is telephoto. Just about, it's at the beginnings. So you're going from a bit wider to a bit nearer, wide angle to telephoto. And if you've never used a zoom lens before, obviously this is a zoom lens, which I talked about in the last episode. See, this is put together with some logic. If you do use a zoom lens, you've got this range of focal lengths. And if you've not used one before, this gets you into getting your head around what wide angle is and what it can do for you, and what telephoto is. So it's a good range to start with, which is why an 18 to 55mm kit lens is provided. Do pro photographers use kit lenses? Yes and no. It depends. Again, there's no definition. Doesn't really matter. Canon DSLRs are often paired with a 24 to 105mm lens. I don't think we'd call a 24 to 105 a kit lens, so yes and no. I don't use an 18 to 55mm lens, but I did do when I started out with my cropped sensor Canon cameras. Now, when I bought my first, I'm digressing here, this is not on my notes, but it's wholly relevant, so bear with. When I bought my first Canon DSLR, I think it was a Canon EOS 1000 FN. And I'm pretty sure that came with an 18 to 55mm lens. I bought another camera which I took on an expedition, easy for me to say, to Chile, South America. I climbed a mountain. I had a Canon EOS. I can't remember which one it was, but it was a quite basic cropped sensor camera with a kit lens. And I've got great photos. Let's not forget that. There's too much snobbery around gear. I went to Chile, climbed a massive mountain, and I've got some great photos. So let's not forget that. So I don't use an 18 to 55mm lens now, but I have done in the past. Do I need to worry about this? When I say I mean you. Not really. There's bigger things to worry about in life than actually what a kit lens is and is not. I think the point I wanted to make is that there is no formal definition of what a kit lens is. Just be aware that this generally refers to the 18 to 55mm lens, but can also be used for, in theory, any lens sold with a camera. Are kit lenses any good? Well, they're pretty good, but as ever, it depends. Remember this, in general terms, the more expensive the lens, the higher the quality. More expensive the lens, the higher the quality, in general terms. That is what matters. If you think about this, if you're buying a camera body and for an extra 50 quid you can get a kit lens, this is obviously better than no lens, but a kit lens costing you 50 quid will not be better than a lens costing you 500 quid or 5,000 quid or 50,000. No, I'm being ridiculous there, aren't I? Do I use kit lenses? Not the 18 to 55, but as I said, my Canon 6D came with the Canon 24 to 105. So yes, I have. Yes, I do. Or do I? Basically, the term itself is not that helpful. This term can only cause confusion and waste people's time, so let's not worry about it. The term kit lens has no definitive definition. Is that double use of definitive and definition? It's not great English, is it? But you get the point. No one has said what is and what is not a kit lens. There isn't a list anywhere. There's no defining definition. I've done it again, haven't I? So let's not worry about it. Let's not worry about this term too much, okay? Concentrate on the other important stuff. This is one of the points of my podcast. I said this is the point, but it's one of. It's to explain things in just enough detail to help you and I with our photography and no more. And that includes explaining things and telling you, don't worry about them. You don't need to worry about them. It doesn't make any difference. Just forget it. Last point on my script. Yes, I have a script, would you believe? If we got rid of the term kit lens, what would happen? Silence. Nothing would happen. Nothing would change. No one would care. So, sorry, I'm going to go on to my final one-line explanation, which I changed to this. There is no definition of what a kit lens is, and the term is not helpful. So if we never use this term again, nothing will go wrong. Right, no more on the term kit lens. Next episode. Sticking with lenses. I want to get through lenses, so by the end of this series, you know as much as you need to know about lenses. Not everything, I'm not that clever, but you'll know enough. Episode 61. Should I buy a prime or a zoom lens? Not a kit lens, a prime or a zoom lens. This is exactly what I think. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a nice review and rating wherever you get your podcast from. And subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd be kind enough to share my podcast with anybody who you think might be remotely interested in it, please do. And if you do, I say thank you. I will also say thank you for listening to my small but perfectly formed podcast. I wrote that bit all by myself. Finally, my websites. Check out rickmcavoyphotography.com to find out about me and my photography blog. It's very good, you know. And also, of course, the Photography Explained podcast website, where you can find out all about this podcast and ask me a question of your own. This episode was brought to you by the power of Diet Pepsi and a Spam sandwich with no pickle. How could I? I've been Rick McAvoy. Thanks again very much for listening to me and for giving me less than 12 minutes of your valuable time. And I will see you on the next episode. Cheers from me, Rick.